Hi everyone, hope you're okay. Sylvia here. Welcome to part 3 of materials. This is the final part in this series when we're looking at brushes and other sundries that you might like. So, I'm sure as you've been to buy your paper and your paints, you've noticed lots of brushes in the shops. So, today we're going to look at the types of brushes that materials are made of and the ones that I recommend you buy. And then, as I say, we'll pick up the bits and pieces at the end that other things that you need. So in the shops, essentially, there are two types of brushes, okay? There are synthetic brushes, which are the ones we need to concentrate on, and there are hog brushes. So a hog brush is essentially made of pig bristle from the back and neck of a pig. And it's so used because it's actually really firm bristles that we need when you're working with oil and acrylic paint, because they're much more substantial to pick up than watercolour paint is, and you need something fairly stiff. So anything that says it's a hog brush is something you don't need to be concerned about, so forget that for the time being. So let's just concentrate on the brushes that I recommend you buy. So this is a brush made of a synthetic hair. It's really nice and soft, lots and lots of hair. This brush will hold a lot of water. And if you look after your brushes, it's very durable as well. So synthetic is the material we need to go for. You might have heard people talk about sable, which is a very, very expensive natural hair. Not something we're going to be concerned with. Squirrel brushes as well. They are, I would say they're quite specialist brushes, and the brushes that people use once they're much further into their watercolour journey. So they're actually at a professional level. So for this point in time, don't be concerned about those. We're looking at synthetic brushes. So when I first started my watercolour journey, I asked my tutor what brush I needed. And she said, just go off to the shop and buy yourself a number 14 round synthetic brush. So this is this is a 14 brush and much what it looks like. Now, as you can see, this one's a bit battered. It's getting on a bit. It's not the original brush. And the point isn't as good as it could be, although when I put this in water, the point will come back a little bit. Now, it's called a 14 round because the end of the brush is round, as you can see. This is the ferrule that holds all the fibres together. And a 14 is quite a big brush, actually. The bigger the number, the fatter the brush. Now, I do like these brushes for large scale work, and I've always recommended these to my students in the past, but I'm noticing that some students find them a bit unwieldy. So what I'm going to recommend you buy is a number 10. So this is a 2 sizes down. It's still a round brush. This is made by Darla Rowney. It's got a reasonable point on it. And it's not an expensive brush, this one. I got this in the set, I think, for 3 brushes for about 10 quid, something like that. But it's a really, really nice brush. So if you start with a number 10, that's big enough to do most of the work that you'll be doing with me. And I think you'll feel as though you've got a little bit more control. I use a number 10 when I go out on my bike, painting on plein air, and it's an absolutely super brush. I often don't use anything else because it's a really good size. And with a good point, I can do lots of work. So when you're buying your brushes, please make sure you buy it with a good point on it. If you get to the store and you find that some of the bristles are kind of coming out of the edge like this, you won't get them back, so don't buy it. I find that things that you buy online are pretty good condition when they arrive as well. So if you can only buy one brush, buy a number 10 round. If you've got some more money and you don't mind spending, it is useful to have a brush where you can do some more fine detail work. So my advice is either buy a number 6 or a number 4. These are round again because the ferrule's round, and that one will come to point a little bit better in water. But as you can see, it's not a huge amount of difference. But with either of those, I would be able to do some more finer detailed work if I want to put some small marks in. Lovely. And the other one that's really useful is a 1-inch flat. 1 inch because that's the size of it, and it's flat at the end. This is one that you probably do more like you're painting emulsion on your walls, but it's super for doing horizons and skies as well. So if I've got it loaded correctly and I've got a horizon line, and sometimes I can actually put a horizon line in because you've got a nice square edge to it against the line, you can actually do it in one fell swoop. You can also, when it's loaded, And when it comes to kind of, it's very fine at the end like that, when it's wet, you can actually make some nice vertical marks with it as well. It's great for picking out the side of trees. So it's a really, really super brush. So 1 inch flat is another good one to get. Lovely, lovely. So there we have that one, and that one. So the other finer brush that if you do want to buy one, or as I say, if you get a number 10, you can always get these in stages. You don't have to buy them all at once, because you might find that you don't need them as well once you're starting to just lay down washes, is a rigger. So this is one, comes with a plastic cover, which is good to keep them because it does protect your brushes. And it's so called, I'm just going to wet that a little bit, so called because it was used to paint the rigging of boats and ships. So it's very, very fine, quite long, not very many fibres, and they usually come in sizes from 0 to about 4. So obviously 0 is smaller than a 4, and I suggest you get a 0, a 1 or a 2. Don't get a 3 or 4, it's probably a bit too big. But it's a super brush, also for pulling out fine detail in like trees, grasses. It's just a lovely brush to have. But it also takes a little bit of work to get control of a rigger. So it's not essential you have this one straight away. So I'm just going to pop that back in its cover again. So there's your brushes. So just to recap, number 10, 6 or a 4, 1 inch flat and a rigger. Fab. Right, so just pop those away for a minute. So what else do we need then? Well, when you're painting, it is ideal to have your paper on a board of some description. This one is just a piece of cardboard that actually came from somewhere like the Works. I am careful what I buy for the Works, but this was fine for what we needed. I have put a couple of layers of acrylic varnish on it just to seal it because it was hardboard. It has slightly warped. I think you may be able to see that on camera. But it's a super board for certainly A4 work. And also, if I want to work at a gradient at all, I can just pop something underneath and it's quite sturdy there. It's not going to move. But you don't have to use this. You could use some thin MDF. You could use some plywood. You could use an old door you've got, anything that's not splintered and it's flat. But again, if you're worried about the surface, just pop a couple of layers of acrylic varnish on to seal it. So a board's a good idea. And then obviously we want something to stick our paper to the board. And I just use, this is just Wilko's own brand, El Cheapo masking tape for decoration purposes. It comes in a 1 inch or it comes in 3 inch, and I use both actually. But it's really good for what it is. It's low tack as well. I have bought high tack masking tape in the past, but then when I put it on my painting, I've left it for a few days. When I've come to take it off, it's actually taken some of the paper as well. So my advice is just buy the low tack stuff from Wilko. Okay, so that's that. The other thing, oh yes, just going back to boards quickly if I may, just mention that I did try something like this, which was a freebie actually. I got this sort of plastic mat, and actually when I put the paper on, it didn't dry out very well because obviously it's a plastic surface and also it's a little bit bendy. So avoid anything like that, but that is good for putting your paints on because it gives you a bit of protection. Great. So that's that. And the only two things I think you need are a pencil and a ruler. So with your pencil, this is a 2B, or you could use an HB. This is quite a soft pencil, so that if you put a line on and you're not happy with it, you will still be able to rub it out fairly easy. Don't go for anything that's the high H's because they're very hard, and that means it's more difficult to rub out. So just an HB or a 2B pencil is fine. You won't be doing a lot of sketching, but it is useful to have. And obviously have a ruler as well, because it is important, and I might not get this square on camera, but it is important that when you do put in a horizon line in, for example, I'm not sure that's square from the camera, but you do get a nice straight line when you do that. If you don't and you get it wonky, it's going to look really funny, and it's really, really noticeable if you don't get it right. And also, when you're drawing buildings, very few people can draw a straight line freehand. Please use a ruler if it makes life easier. There's nothing wrong in doing that. And the only other thing really I was thinking about that you actually need is some jars to put your water in. So a couple of glass jars here. You know, normal recyclable glass jars. I tend to use two. I like one for clean water and one for dirty water. You can use those plastic cups, but you tend to use one inside the other so you get some stability. But they're fine for what you need, and yeah, easy to get hold of as well. So I think that's everything for today. So we've done brushes, we've done boards, and all the other bits that we need. So I'm hoping now that after you bought your brushes and all the other bits, you've got everything you need. So next time we come together, we're going to start painting together, and I'm really excited to show you that. We're going to be laying down some simple washes and we'll really get into the paints. That's great. So thanks for watching. Hope to see you soon, and look after yourselves. Bye.